another episode of You Are Not an NPC!
You know the saying skill diff?
What is that? I don't understand what is skill diff.
I've been hearing friends say, they almost use it as an insult. They'll be like, oh, you cannot get this girl to respond to you, skill diff. You cannot get a promotion, sounds like skill diff.
Right.
So
they use it in everything in response to what you cannot achieve.
Yes, it sounds like something you should be able to do, but I can't achieve it, and like skill diff.
So you should be able to do it, but you can't, so skill diff.
Skill diff.
Okay.
I've been hearing people use this as a funny insult, right? To explain why you can't do things. But I want to share today, right? It's a meta belief that changed my life, right? Which is that you need to gaslight yourself. You need to gaslight yourself into believing that every problem you have is a skill issue. So let's break down what I said, right? First of all, you need to gaslight yourself, i.e. you really need to keep telling yourself this in response to everything thrown your way. Let's talk about everything later. Let's talk about everything is a skill issue, right? If something is let's talk about the skill issue part, right? If everything is a skill issue, right, what are the implications? It means that it's something you can work on. It means that you take radical responsibility, that if it's something you're not good at, you can change it, right? It is a skill issue. It is not who you are. It is not what you're given. It is a skill issue, just something that you can work on. Why it's profound for me, it's because it's so empowering, right? Once you believe that everything is a skill issue, it's like, oh, I'm not good at this. Skill issue means I can work on it if I wanna.
Right.
I can work on it if I wanna. It's a skill issue.
People sometimes think that they cannot do it at all, like everything is out of reach if they don't know how to achieve it. Now you reframe it in a way where everything is a skill issue, and it is okay that I don't have this skill. But if I want to, now I can go and learn.
It is not a personality flaw. It is a skill issue. You can work on it. You can recognize that you're not good at it and work on it and change that.
Right. So it makes you feel safer, and you can recognize that it's okay.
Yes.
If I want to, I can go for it.
Skill, right? What does skill mean? Skill means it's something that can be learned. It means something that can be trained.
Right.
So that's the first part of everything is a skill issue. I think the more difficult part for people to accept, and took me a long time to learn, is the everything part. And I mean everything. Right? There's the obvious part of skills, right? It might be something like marketing, playing soccer, tennis, public speaking. Those are obvious skills, right? That it's something that you can work on. What is the more challenging part? It's the non-obvious skills. Things people think of as their personality but not as skills. It might be something like, oh, I don't think I'm desirable as a person, as a friend, as a partner. It might be something like, oh, I'm a socially anxious person, right? It might be something like, I'm not a good manager. It might be something like, I'm a low EQ person. It might be something like, I don't know, I'm not good at sex, right? The challenge, at least what I went through, and I think what a lot of people went through, is that they think of this part as inbuilt part of their personality. And when they think it's an inbuilt part of their personality and they're not good at it, there's a lot of shame associated with it. Because society tells you it's either you have or you don't have. You're either high EQ or low EQ. You're either charismatic or you're not. You're either good at sex or you're not.
Like your MBTI cannot change, like everything cannot change.
Precisely, right? So there is shame associated with that, which makes it hard for you to confront the idea that, hey, actually, any of these things I'm lacking is a skill issue that I can now recognize and do something about.
Okay.
Right? Which is why this everything is key, right? You need to believe that everything that you lack is a skill issue. Some years back, my partner invited me to a party with her friends, and that was kind of meeting their friends for the first time. You've known me for a long time. How would you describe me back then, like socially?
Right, you probably won't go and mingle with people. You'll say the highs and the buys, but you wouldn't be the center of attraction.
Right?
Yeah.
That was me. I don't think I was super socially awkward, but I'm also not a charismatic person who brings energy to a party. Invited to this, I didn't want to go. I should friends at this party. So I went. When I stepped in, I was mingling and talking. It's one of those social situations where if you're not a highly extroverted person, it's very uncomfortable, right? You can imagine like everyone's talking, you're that new person there, in a new environment, you try to make conversations, you don't quite know what to say, you want to fit in, but you also don't want to stand out too much.
And it's a lot tougher for you because these group of people, they already have their bonds. They were friends before that. Break in as the new person is damn tough. Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I don't know how to react in this situation, in a social situation. I've never been trained, I've never learned. I'll just be myself, right? Whatever the hell that means. I just interacted the way I would, like try to join in some conversations, try like be normal and be myself, because that's the advice we always give us, right? Be yourself. I did that. I really don't know. I really can't remember what exactly happened in those conversations, and I know I was trying, but not trying. The next night, I was having dinner with my partner, and we were talking about like that party last night. I will never forget what she told me. I was talking about like, oh, what do your friends think? And she said, and she tried to deliver it in a non-hurtful manner. She was like, my friends think you're low EQ. Right. And I'm like, huh? What did I really don't know what I do. And the most messed up part is, I don't know what I did, right? I was trying to be myself, right? And me being myself is low EQ for some reason. They couldn't quite explain either. It was based on that 2 hours of like a party where I tried to mingle, it came across as I was a low EQ person. And the problem is, I kind of believe when something like that happens to you, at least it happened to me, I started buying into the idea, I'm a low EQ person, that I'm not good in crowds, right? I'm not a person who's like able to go into a party and introduce myself and like be comfortable socially. Then I tell myself stories, right? That, it's okay, like once people get to know me, they'll like me. So you start telling yourself these stories, right? But the story, it's, hey, I'm a low EQ person and it's fine, right? It is who I am, but there are other parts of me that is acceptable. So that was the narrative I carried for the longest time.
If back then I had a party, I wouldn't even call you because I fear that you would be uncomfortable there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. That's the kind of person I am, and this is a story I believe, right? 6 months ago, I was watching YouTube. I started watching this channel called Charisma University. It's very interesting. What they do is they look at highly charismatic people, right? And they break down in excruciating details. Inside joke. They look highly charismatic people. They break down in excruciating details the small things that they do that makes them high charisma. Right? The way they greet people, the way they respond to someone, their mindset, the way they pause in a conversation, right? Very technical things. Which is when I started believing, maybe it's not who I am, right? Maybe there are tactical skills that you can learn to be more of that. Of course, it's one of those YouTube channels where they sell a course as well. So this YouTube channel, Charisma University,
obviously it's not wrong.
Leading, it's breaking down habits of charismatic people, right? 7 things you can do in a group to make people like you more. 7 things you can do to make a better first impression. Right. Then they lead into selling a course called Charisma University, like becoming more charismatic in 30 days. Right. So I clicked on it, ready to buy it. By that moment, I felt dirty. I mean, I want to learn this skill, right? But at the same time, I felt so much shame, like, isn't this something you should know? Isn't this something you should be born with? You should just be charismatic. Right. Isn't it sleazy, cringy, weird, disgusting to try to be more sociable, to try to be more charismatic? I had to fight myself and remind myself that no, there's no shame with it. Not being a charismatic person is not shameful. It's just something you haven't learned. I just have to keep reminding myself of that. Which then allowed me finally enter the cut and buy the course. And you realize that they teach very basic, but when I went through a course, it's kind of basic things, simple tactical things that I haven't thought about. How do you make people like you and be more charismatic? There's a module on fun. What does being fun mean? It means going into any context and be 20% more high energy than that situation. It means lowering your filter. It means being willing to talk about things that people are not thinking. Like that's breaking through the noise of the day. So I spent a week talking to random people. They have a module on fun. They have a module on listening, right? So how do you practice active listening? The different levels of listening, right? Listening with curiosity. And then they have a module on respect, right? It is how do you tell stories, when you inject with stories of yourself that tells people who you are, what you care about, your values. Basic things like that. How do you make a good first impression? So it's like, okay, kind of makes sense. For a week, I was doing basic stuff like in a store, just saying one extra line of whatever I think about, right? Might be an NTUC, I'm like, this honey that you have at the back looks cool, it doesn't matter, right? It's just practicing that unfiltering so that you can unfilter yourself, right? It's doing this practice and understanding that, hey, maybe these are the components that makes you a bit more charismatic. But obviously, I didn't know whether that worked. Like, these practices are like uncomfortable, fun, but I don't know, like, does that make me, my starting point was, I think I'm a low EQ person, not good in groups, right? I didn't know whether that has changed. After doing so, like a month or so, I went on a snowboarding trip with like a bunch of strangers. It's one of those trips where it's organized by a tour agency and you meet a bunch of strangers. And I tried to put all of these in practice. One day after snowboarding, we were walking back from the car park at the supermarket. We were walking with this guy I just met like for a few days. And he told me, hey Damon, this group requires a host to like bring people around, right? And that host has to be high energy, sociable, to make people feel welcome. He was the host and he was telling me, hey Damon, I actually think your energy would make a very good host.
Right. Oh.
Right? And like it probably is a innocent comment for him, but that meant so much to me, right? Because you know the person I am like 1 year ago, right? You would never, I know the person I am 1 year ago, I could never imagine someone like, looking at me and be like, oh, this person could make a good host, has the energy of a good host, right? I'm not saying doing this means I'm Ryan Reynolds charismatic, right? But it reinforces the belief that it's a learnable skill, right? Like to be more sociable, to be more extroverted, to carry more energy, to project more energy, to make people feel good. Not everyone's gonna love me, right? But some people think I'm enjoyable enough that I can be a good host. It's a learnable skill.
Yeah. I saw that arc. Like I get to experience that arc. And I've known you more than 10 years, bro.
Right.
And I think it's very interesting because like you were never the kind of person that I am, right? I'm very loud, high energy, and like people generally, I have a lot of like friends. Whether they're close or not, separate topic, right? But I have a lot of like friends.
I love you for that. Like you're my portal to the world. You're my friendship portal. Like I walk through you to find more friends.
Even when we were running a company, it was the same. Like I was the one that like could bond everybody, but you were the logical mind, and I thought like perfect match. You can lead the company with the iron fist,
right?
While I will take care of everybody. And when I saw you start to have that transformation, right, I was like, you changed 180. To be honest, I think this whole arc, right, the impact is not just on you. You made everybody around us believe that we could change something. Change was radical. It was from you not being like center of party, center of attention, to me being one day I can see you if you keep working on it, right? Reynolds. Like I can see that happen, right? You will break the freaking 4-4 and be the Deadpool movie. I can totally see that happening. Yeah, but like you think about the people that have seen you and be like, oh, I also don't dare to talk to people. Yihao was worse than me. And then now Yihao can hold a conversation with anybody and they will want to be his friend.
Right.
Like that is incredibly inspiring. Like on my end, it was like I always believe like I am not you. I take longer to process things. I think that I'm not that logical. I think that I'm not that smart. I think that I can power through things. Right? That's my skill set. Like got war, I chong.
And that's what I've always respected you for. When I think of a highly disciplined man, you're the most David Goggins person I know. When I think of who's gonna carry the boat, Joshua.
I think I've accepted that like, I cannot be that smart. I cannot be that logical. But it's okay. Like I take time, but it's okay. A part of me took comfort because both of us were doing stuff together.
Right.
You can just hold that thought, right? But when I started to see that arc and transformation in you, I was like, damn, I can be better also. Right? All I need to do is to be able to identify, like, what skills am I going to learn? Somebody on YouTube is selling a course that I need to learn, right? It's going to change me, I'm going to do it. Yeah, which is why like you asked me to join some copywriting course, right? Like a part of me is because I don't want to believe that I am bad at it. Like I don't want to admit that it's a deficiency. Right? And like, I will never be able to write well, it's okay lah. Right? Bro, through my life, all my English is helped by other people. Like any English related exam, right? In poly was you. I know you were frustrated to help. Like you had to help me edit like the English
Bro.
and stuff. In uni was Derek, bro. Yeah, but like it's not just English, right? It's the ability to communicate your ideas. When you shared that idea to me that like this was something I felt was my deficiency. I went through that same process you did when you signed up for that charisma university.
Right.
I don't know how to explain to you, but like I just didn't want to, and at that point in time I was like,
What were we feeling? Like shame?
like admitting that I suck lor. Like I'm bad lor. Yeah.
And it's shameful because it feels like it is who you are?
Yes. Like
I
built a company and now need to learn how to write.
okay.
It's damn paiseh, right? Yeah, but like I think with you going through that arc, it lowered that barrier to like, I suck at it, then I take a course or like it's very normal. It's not shameful. And that was why I took the plunge, which like we're gonna take the course soon.
Yes.
But yeah, like it really inspired like
Right.
a lot of us. Like I don't know whether you noticed, but like the boys around us is like, oh yeah, I also want to. Now I'm more open. To think about it. And that to me is inspiration.
Right.
It had a ripple effect. Some big, some small.
Oh, that really touches me. I mean, I had no idea that there's that
Yeah.
impact, so that really touches me.
Yeah.
Which I guess comes back to a point like, I think skill issue is easy to understand.
Yes.
Everything part is very hard to normalize because there's often that shame associated with something that you're not good at because you think it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, people don't like to recognize their deficiency.
Yeah.
Right? But like because they see it as deficiency rather than
Character flaw.
This one is my skill at like level 1.
I just never learned it.
Never add,
Yeah.
add skill point.
I just never skill point.
Yeah. So if I start adding today,
I know I'm not a good flower picker because I never go pick flowers.
yeah.
Nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong.
Alright.
Skill tip.
I'm not good at tennis because I never go pick tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not good at being social because I never go and try to learn it.
Yes. And I think one thing beautiful about skills, I'm starting to really believe it's not that difficult and not that long it takes to be top 10%.
Okay?
Or top 10 or 20%, right?
Right.
Whatever it is, right? I started to realize that if you put in the reps and you know what you want to work towards, to be at top 0.1%, sure, unachievable. Top 10, 20%, I don't think it's that challenging. Like, you need to put in the reps, but like, I think you can, and a lot of people can get there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely true, although I would add a qualifier and segment. I talked about obvious skills and non-obvious skills. For obvious skills, it's much harder to be top 10% because everyone recognizes the skill and knows how to work on it, right? So being a top 10% tennis player is extremely hard because everyone knows the skill and it's hard and they practice
the
it.
framework to get there is already established.
People know it's a skill, there's no shame practicing it. It is with the non-obvious skill that it becomes actually very easy to be top 10%, right? Because no one recognizes that it's a skill you can work on. It feels shameful to work on, which means the pool of competition is so low, right? Like being sociable, being more open-minded, being more extroverted, just learning a bit more than everyone else makes you top 10%.
Yes.
Yeah. And it applies to a lot of things, right? It applies to listening, how to be a better listener, how to be a better friend. Even that was something I struggled with for a long time. Right? Like I had one friend being you, right? I thought friends weren't like me.
Right.
Fucking skill issue, right? Like, am I being a good friend that people like? Not really, right? Like once I recognize that, being a friend is also being a friend that people want to be around, that people like, it's also a skill issue, then something can work on because it's no longer, am I a lovable person? Right? Am I a desirable person? It becomes, am I being a friend that people would like? Am I acting in a way that people would like?
I wanted to bring your frame back to the time when you clicked on Charisma University. For a lot of people, being able to identify what skills to learn is challenging. Like, you of all people, I wouldn't expect you to click on something so clickbaity like Charisma University, you know?
Which I do.
Yeah. This type of clickbaity shit feels like things that I will click on. And at that point in time, you actually clicked in, watched it, and believed that like this is something that you want to spend your time learning.
Right.
And of course, on top of that, for the audience out there, you went on to do like even crazier shit like acting and like improv and stand-up comedy, which is insane, right? How did you think about like these were the skills that you wanted to learn, and like you identified like this is my deficiency and like, I want to work on this? I think to a lot of people, identifying it is difficult.
So is your question about identifying it, or is the question about choosing what to work on?
We start with identifying. Yeah, like I want to know how do you do that? Like for me, it was very tough to identify I am bad at certain things because I have lived my life this way.
Ah,
right?
okay.
And then you had that process that made you realize I want to learn to be like high EQ. Yeah. Then you start to like, oh, charisma seems like one of the things that can help me.
I want to say that it's a framework or process, but honestly, for me, I was at a stage where I was receiving like things from the role, right? Where I was a lot more open-minded to like seeing what might happen and clicking on different things. I was in an exploration stage, and it was kind of a rabbit hole I fell into. My process at a phase in my life, I was being open-minded to things that are different, that are out of my comfort zone, right? So that might be one process if you want. But I guess if you want to framework it, right, one exercise might be write down all your self-limiting beliefs, or the things you believe about yourself, both good and bad, right? You can write down all the things you believe you're good at, write down all the things you believe you're bad at. Right? And then like, yeah, so everything you're bad at, just say skill issue, skill issue, skill issue.
Right.
It might also be a circumstantial thing, right? Where you might be going through a trigger event in your life, right? Where, I don't know, a big trigger event for people might be going through a breakup, right? Your partner, for whatever reason, decided that doesn't work out, right? The easy thing to do is to say it's all a partner fault, right? Obviously, there's going to be some element like it takes two hands to clap, but it is also taking that opportunity to recognize that, hey, I have some skill deficiency here. She might have some skill deficiency, but hey, I also have some skill deficiency here, right? What are my skill deficiency, and do I want to work on it? Yeah. It can be when you lose a job, when you lose a friend, right? Something major happened, and like, ask yourself, what is my skill deficiency here? Realize that, hey, if this is important enough, I can work on it.
Yeah. I think one of the big things about you is that speed to introspection. And I think I shared with you this before, and it's also like your list of things you're good and bad at, right? I have trouble coming out with that list.
To be fair, that's a hypothetical list that I have never created. I'm just frameworking this on the go as you ask me.
I believe if you really went in and do it,
right,
you are very self-aware on like, these are the things that I've experienced, these are the things I'm bad at, then these are things that I want to work on. And for me, that doesn't come innately to me, which is why it's challenging. The big part for me is identifying, which I'm very thankful that like you shared with me some frameworks through my life, like how you think about meditation and introspection and useful prompt questions, kind of help understand myself a little bit more. Yeah, I'm a charger. I think
which is great. Sometimes you have to
exercise full on, bro. Way full everything, chong.
Yeah, sometimes you have to take action.
Yeah. Just chong. But I don't think am I running in the right direction. Right, which is what I'm still learning. Yeah, I do very obvious stuff. You chong here, you won't go too far off. Yeah, but the more non-obvious stuff, character flaws, I need like good friends to tell me. Right. I need people to give me feedback. Right.
True. But I guess it's the kind of thing that if you have good friends, that's what they're there for. Right? You have been very helpful for me. Like, I know I'm freaking low EQ because you always tell me.
I don't do this all the time. It's because you ask me to tell you.
You know what I mean? Like, you would be honest enough with me, like, we're in a running company together to be like, hey, is this the way you want to react? Right? Have you thought about how you reacting this way? I know, and you obviously deliver in a nice manner, right? I understand your intention, but have you thought about how reacting this way, being angry, being frustrated, helps the situation? The point is, it helps to have friends who can be your mirror, right? Being super self-aware, especially when it comes to flaws, is so hard. Yeah.
I think we are very lucky.
Yeah.
Because you also pointed out to me that this is something that you want to be more aware of. And then I was like, okay, I need to put on that awareness lens. If not, I'll just take you as I love you for who you are, right? So if you're like this,
Don't, bro.
then like that.
Love me for the person I can be.
Oh gee. Yeah. So like it's also useful for us to have like a partner that you can kind of openly share and remove that defensive barrier on.
Right.
Because you ask for it. If I ask for it, I'll be less defensive.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you suddenly, hey bro, yeah, then it feels different.
You know what we should do? We should get the guys together. You know what I recently did with my other bunch of friends is that we did a compliment circle.
Okay.
Right? We were talking about how men receive very little compliment.
Sorry, I'm just shocked that you have other friends outside of me, but
Yes, I do.
Damn.
See, you always remind me that I have no friends.
Oh gee. No! What monster
Skill
I
issue.
created. Oh, skill issue.
We were talking about the general trend of men not receiving a lot of compliments, right? The stats is like men receive 1 or 2 compliments a month. Yeah. Something like that. I don't know if it's the exact numbers, but the disparity in compliments that men receive versus women, huge. Right? So I was like, okay guys, let's go around giving each other a compliment.
Ooh.
Right? Let's do a compliment circle.
Ooh.
And the interesting thing is that some people are very bad at receiving compliments also. They have the inability to just say thank you.
Yeah. It's very common, eh?
It's very common.
Very common.
Okay, but anyways, we can also do a feedback circle.
Okay.
Right? You do like a compliment circle first to establish trust and good feelings. And if everyone feels safe enough, you hit them with the feedback. Sandwich this.
Oh, management consulting 101.
Hey. But yeah, that would be interesting if you're a group of friends close enough to do this. But kind of sometimes it's through these exercises where you're intentional about it that you form very good friends. Yeah. So maybe we can do that. That would be a fun exercise to do and be like, please tell me what I should do with my life kind of thing.
Didn't we play a game in Japan?
Oh yeah. Something similar. We can do that regularly, right?
Yeah.
Wow, bro. I'm fucking ready to tell me what to do with their life.
Bro.
This is just a setup for me to tell me what to do with their life.
In Japan, when Derek gave feedback, it lasted in my head for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. And
What's his feedback?
I don't think he meant it in a malicious manner, but he said like sometimes I will manipulate people. As I digested it, I was like, oh, it's useful for me to like be aware that, kind of make known that like this is what I want. You all don't need to join me.
Right.
But like this is what I want.
You don't have to manage the crowd to go in the direction that you want. I just want to do this. You can come along.
So when I thought about it, it was a lot of like, I want people to come along with my decision. So, which on some level it could also be true lah. Right? They said will come out as more manipulative, right? But I realized that what I want is what I want. If you all want to join me, then you all join me.
True.
Yeah, dude. But like receiving feedback,
it's hard.
It's hard for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm learning, trying like how to be better.
I mean, it's always hard. I mean, also framework this. Step 1, list all the things you think you're good at and bad at. Step 2, ask your friends to tell you what they think you're good at and bad at. Third part is hard for you to fight every inch of your instincts, which is that you disassociate the shame.
Right.
Because you'll feel shameful, you'll feel angry. It's like, oh, this is something I should be good at. Why am I so bad at it, right? Like, why do I have no friends? Why am I not social? Why am I low EQ? Why do I have social anxiety?
Yeah.
Right? You need to like fight very hard to disassociate that shame.
Right.
This is the hardest part, right? And once you disassociate that shame and be comfortable with it, you can start telling yourself, skill diff.
Yes.
To be clear, you may or may not need to work on it. You don't have to accept every feedback given to you, right?
Yeah.
I hear you, but not important to me. You can hear and you'll be like, oh, I hear your feedback, but that is your one representation of that reality. That's not really me. I disagree. That's perfectly fine. Right? And then decide if this is something you want to work on.
Yeah. It's I guess if the group is closer to you, this is saying that this is not me is a lot harder.
Right.
Yeah. Cause like these are a bunch of friends that you spend so much time with.
Right.
Yeah, it's harder.
Okay. That's fair.
It's also a skill diff, like being able to recognize that this is your opinion.
Yes.
We may be close, but this is your opinion. It's not something I want to work on, and that's fine.
Yeah. It's a skill issue to recognize that whatever feedback people give you is a snapshot of a snapshot of their reality when they're with you, not a full representation of.
Yeah. Yes. I remember this was the feedback you gave me.
Right.
I tend to take everything and like treat it as like everything that I need to work on. Without filter, without like discerning whether it's enough for me. I don't spend enough time thinking about those.
Right.
I take everything as a very convenient way to like, oh, I trust all of you all. You all tell me means I flawed. Okay.
Okay.
Now I recognize that not everything you say I need to follow.
Thanks for the input. A lot of things I say I also don't follow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many frameworks and like productivity stuff I went into because you sent one article?
By the way, I want to make this clear, right? I'm saying all this stuff not because I'm perfect or I've mastered it, right? It is because I'm a flawed person and I'm working on all these that I'm sharing, right? This is like my journey of trying to be a slightly more evolved person, of a slightly more evolved ape than yesterday.
Yeah. I'm lucky that you sent me good stuff. It's good for me.
It's good. I send you experiment and let me know.
Yeah. Knowing that you didn't follow, I felt betrayed a little. After I've done it for 3 years, it's crazy.
What do you do for 3 years?
Like the whole like in the next podcast I'll talk about it. But like, it was crazy. But yeah.
Hey.